Hello guys, welcome to my channel where we make videos that cover all you need to know about medical doctors and medical students, and welcome to another episode of Migration Tips for Health Workers. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to migrate and work as a health worker in Canada. This will include doctors, pharmacists, nurses, and medical lab technologists. I'm Dr. Tabat Emmanuel. I'm a practicing Nigerian medical doctor, though currently not working in Nigeria and already relocated, and I am doing this to help others to relocate. If you're interested in migrating to Canada, this video is for you. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss my new videos, which I drop twice weekly. That's on Tuesdays and on Saturdays. And to my returning subscribers, thank you again for coming to watch this video. So let's start. I'll be doing this presentation under this outline. I'll start with the introduction and the migration steps for each health worker and advice before I conclude. Canada is a country in North America with 10 provinces and 3 territories, and I have listed the provinces here and also the territories. And in these places you find people that speak English or French or both. Some of these provinces have predominantly English-speaking citizens. Others are French-speaking natives, but then you always get a mix of both. And Canada is ranked the 9th happiest country in the world, so it's a good place to go to. And I also listed some of the benefits of working in Canada, which includes job security. You're secured. Once you get a job, you know that you're secured. It's quite difficult for you to lose your job, except on very, very serious grounds. And the salary is quite good. It's better than many developed countries. And you have a generous amount of vacations and leaves. You have good working hours. You don't work for as long hours as other countries do. Then you also have job satisfaction in terms of growth. You would get that from working in Canada, and you make your career advancement. Also, it's a very good place. It's a very good country to work. And I'll be using these steps. The qualification is for each of the health workers. You have to qualify first, and then before you start anything, your credentials will have to be verified. Then you sit for the examinations, and when you finish the examinations, you can apply for a job, and then you move to commence the job. These are basically the steps for all the different types of health workers that are covered in this video. So we start with the doctors. As a doctor, you must have graduated from a recognized medical school, and your school should be found in the World Directory of Medical School, and this is the site. Please also note that in the description box is a link where I had dropped PDFs for each of the health workers. There's a PDF for doctors, there's a PDF for nurses, there's a PDF for pharmacists, there's a PDF for medical lab or technologists. Then there's also another PDF that covers the costs and venues of the different exams you would need to write to. So you can just check the description box, the link is there, and you download them for free. It also includes all the related websites and links that you'll be able to do some of these things. You need to also get a practicing license. As a medical doctor, you cannot practice without having a practicing license from the Medical Council of Canada. And this means that if you schooled outside the country, or your school is not being recognized as for licensure by the MCC, you must write the Canadian licensing exams. And I listed that includes the Medical Council of Canada qualifying exams, MCCQE Part 1, and there's the Medical Council of Canada MCCQE Part 2, then the National Assessment Collaboration NAC exams 2. We'll discuss about those things, those exams in details. Then you must also meet the LMCC eligibility to be able to obtain the licentiate of the Medical Council of Canada. So, and one of it is that you must either be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. So note please that before you get your medical license as an IMG, you must either be a Canadian citizen or be at least a permanent resident. And every information you need to facilitate this process, that's from starting to the end, you can use this website, Physician Applied, and that's the link. It's also on in the ebook, so you can do that, and it will guide you. It's a detailed and very, very easy to use site to help you. Then you can also use this site. Apart from applying, you also register for exams and submit requested documents for verification. After sitting for the exams, you can also use the site to check your results. That's where you check your result. And note that creating an account on the website costs $310. The MCCQE Part 1 and NAC are exams you must write before you even get the license. The MCCQE Part 2 is an exam you write when you're almost done with your training in order to get your full licensure. And after you've now written the MCCQE 1 and the NAC, you can either start the residency pathway where you apply for a residency slot and then you're matched to start your residency. As an IMG, you should know that there are allocated slots for different specialties, and that determines whether you're easily matched or not. Some particular specialties have more slots for IMGs, and some have either no or very few slots for IMGs. So it'd be wise for you to do that, and I dropped a link for you to apply, and you will also see what specialties have more slots for IMGs or not. By the time you apply for residency and you're being matched, you just start your residency training, and depending on the specialty, it will determine the number of years you will spend doing your residency training before you become a specialist. The other pathway, which is the non-residency pathway, is the practice-ready assessment pathway. And this is for doctors who have been fully licensed in their respective countries before moving to Canada, and you apply based on the province and sit for their therapeutic decision exams, as the TDE. So apart from writing those first two exams, the MCCQE and the NAC, you also have to write this TDE. And these exams will test your pharmacological and non-pharmacological management of medical conditions, and it comprises of 40 cases with approximately 100 short answers writing questions to complete within 3 hours. When you're successful, you'll be given a provisional license to practice between 3 to 5 years in an underserved area in the province you applied. So your provisional license is limited to the province, and when you're done, you become eligible for your full licensure. And I also dropped the site for you to check that in details. So for those that are not considering residency, you consider this too. Then there's the Manitoba Licensure Program for International Medical Graduates. That's the MLP IMG. This one is almost similar to the practice-ready assessment pathway, but in this, there's usually a 1-year training program for eligible family medicine physicians who either require or seek additional training. So family medicine training in Canada takes about 2 years, but in this pathway, you are trained for 1 year, so it's way more intense. After that, you will be given a provisional license to practice between 3 to 5 years in an underserved area. So the difference between this and the practice ready is that for this, you will go for a 1-year training first, and then you're being sent to an underserved area, unlike the practice ready pathway in which you're just sent to an underserved area. So it depends on whether you want the training before you're being sent there. And after those years, you still become eligible for full licensure, and I dropped the link too. At the same time, I discussed that you must either be a citizen or a permanent resident before you can get a license to practice as a doctor in Canada. That's all for the medical doctors. Now we'll move to nurses. In Canada, the two nurses being recognized are those with the BSc nursing degree, those with the diploma in nursing degree. Those with the BSc nursing certificates are called registered nurses, and those with the diploma are called licensed practical nurses. Then there's also the registered psychiatry nurse, which is the same as a registered nurse, the one with the BSc, but has specialized in psychiatry. The licensed practical nurse could also be known as the registered practical nurse in Ontario. So it doesn't matter whether you have a degree or a diploma, you still can practice nursing in Canada. With that, you have to also be very careful to choose the right title in the right region when you are applying. Now, the steps for nurses is first you will have to register with the National Nursing Assessment Service, the NNAS. I dropped the site too, and you choose the province and the type of nursing job you're applying to. Then at the site, you'll be asked for documents. You verify your documents, including proof of English, that's either IELTS or the Canadian English Language Benchmark Assessment for Nurses, CELBAN, or French. It depends on whether you are applying to practice as an English-speaking nurse or a French-speaking nurse. Other things include your nursing license, your school certificate, birth certificates, your marriage or divorce certificates, and other things too. You also need to wait for the verification of your sent documents to be completed, after which they will assess whether you've met the required standard or not. If not, they will inform you of where you're lacking and how you need to upgrade to meet the standard. However, if you've met the standard, you get a letter from NNAS informing you that you've met the standard, and then you can apply for the nursing board overseeing the province of your interest. So note that the NNAS is a national body, but then there are bodies that oversee every province. So be careful in which province you want to choose, and then you're going to apply to them too. They will also usually ask for your documents again to assess you as a foreign trained nurse. And even after meeting the NNES standard, you may not meet the provincial standards too. So be careful, and if you've not met, you will be asked to upgrade. So I would advise you to know what the requirements are before you choose whichever province you want to go to. Now, when you're done with the provincial board and you've met the standard, you then have a competency evaluation test, and after you've been certified fit, you will now sit for the NCLEX exams. And when you pass the NCLEX exam, you register with the council and you're given a registration number to begin work. You cannot work without being issued this number as a nurse. So wait till you get the job. You can start applying though for a job, but then you can't start practicing without getting the registration number. So when you get the registration number, you can move, get your visa, your employer can stand in as your sponsor, and then you move. I had dropped a site for that. Now, a small tip: when you've moved to Canada to start your work, try to apply for a social insurance number. This is important for tax purposes and it's free. I dropped a link in which you can apply for that, and then you also open a bank account so that you can start getting paid too. Now we move to pharmacists. The step for pharmacists is first you qualify with a BSc in pharmacy or PharmD in a recognized school, and note that your documents will be evaluated by the World Education Service, that's WES. I dropped the site where you're going to use that for the verification. And after that, you need to sit and pass an English proficiency test, as the IELTS or the OET. And you need to write the Pharmacy Board of Canada examination, PEBC. And this examination will assess the following subjects that I've listed here. The PEBC is divided into two stages: the PEBC Evaluation Exams 1, and this is a computer-based exams with two sections, each containing 100 questions, and you have a total of 4 hours 25 minutes to write them. You need to pass this PEBC 1 before you write the PEBC 2, and the PEBC 1 costs $880. For the PEBC 2, it also consists of two parts. Part 1 is MCQ, which costs $825, and the part 2 is OSCE, which costs $1,855. So it's quite expensive. When you're done, note that you're only permitted 3 attempts for the exams, and may consider a petition for a 4th and final exams. So if you have a legit reason to petition for a fourth exams, you can do so, and you can't have more than 4 attempts for the exams, and that's all. So I dropped a link too for you to check all these things. And there's a website for you to prepare for the PBC exams. I also dropped the link, it's in the ebook too, so that you can be able to access this thing. After passing, you can apply for a job in your province of interest too. I also dropped a link for way more detailed steps in becoming a pharmacist in Canada. I will now move to the medical lab technologists. The Canadian Society for Medical Lab Scientists, the CSMLS, or the Société Canadienne de Sciences de Laboratoire Médical, forgive me, I don't know how to speak French, the SCSLM, that's the French version of the name, is the governing body responsible for your registration and licensing. I dropped the site for you to learn more about it. But note that before you become a licensed medical laboratory technologist in Canada, you have to sit and pass the CSMLS exams. And this is a multiple choice exams format in which you choose the best answer of the options given to you. There are 210 MCQs which you are to answer within 3.5 hours. But before you can write the exams, you have to be eligible for the exam. So you don't just apply and write the exams. There are some steps before you even become eligible. Eligibility for foreign medical lab technologies means you have successfully completed the prior learning assessment, the PLA process, and have received an eligibility statement to the CSMLS certificate examination. And when you receive the eligibility statement, you must write the exams within the valid time being recommended for you. So there's a time frame they will give you to write the exams. And they also send you an ID number, and the fee for the PLA is $1,540 for members and $1,850 for non-members. Please note that payment made from Nigerian credit cards or accounts are not acceptable. So this is something you should note too. So when you're going to pay for all these things, you can't choose your Nigerian credit card or your Nigerian account. Your credentials will be evaluated either through the World Education Service, which costs 240 Canadian dollars. I dropped the link for the registration. Or you can also use the International Credential Evaluation Service, the ICES, and this costs 230 Canadian dollars. This is the link too. One thing to note is that unlike WES, which you have to send your credential via mail, so you send a hard copy via mail to an address that is written on the document, the ICS gives you the option to send by email also, so you can send a soft copy to them. You could also send a hard copy, but ICS gives you the option to send a soft copy. So it's something that you should note too. And if your education was in English or French, you don't need to take the English or French proficiency test. You just need a letter from your school affirming that your formal education was in either of the languages. However, if it's not, then you have to write the language exams and pass. And the language exams are either the Michena English Language Assessment, MELA, the Test of English as a Foreign Language, TOEFL, International English Language Testing Exams, IELTS, and the Canadian Test for English for Scholars and Trainees, that's the CAN test. And for French, you have to write the Canadian Test for French for Scholars and Trainees. You also need your school to send your transcript to CSMLS officially, except you send the transcript to WES. So if you send the transcript to WES already or ICES, you don't need to send your transcript to CSMLS, because when they finish verifying your documents, we'll send it directly to CSMLS. Then other things you'll send to will be your clinical education, as for where you did your practical internship, to CSMLS, and it will include details of topics covered, the tests you have done during your training, the hours spent during your training, and your grading. You also need to send your letter of experience from where you've worked directly to CSMLS, describing your good experience. And these are some things that the official letters you're sending directly to CSMLS must contain. And I listed them there. And this is the exams. You could write the exams either in a Prometric center, or you could also write the exams through a remotely proctored internet-enabled location of your choice, where you must provide a computer with a camera, microphone, and stable internet connection. And you would need the eligibility ID before you write the exams. So before you even sit down for the exams, you should have been verified by CSMLS first and deemed eligible when an ID is given to you before you write the exams. And I've already spoken about the exams. It's divided into two parts. The first part is 3 hours long. The second part is 2.5 hours long with a break in between them. That's the CMLS exams. And after you've written the exams takes about 45 days to be out, and is being given to you in either a pass or a fail report. And I dropped the site for you to make the application and know more about the exams. If you pass the exams, you will receive a statement of examination results and an invitation to become a certified member of the CSMLS. It also provides certificates to only members with good standing. However, if you did not pass the exams, you receive a performance report to know where you had been lacking and show you how you are done in each category. And this will help you prepare for the exams again. If you pass the exams, however, you don't need the performance report. Note also that holding a certificate is a privilege of membership. So if CSMLS gives you a certificate, you must ensure that you return the certificate to CSMLS if you do not want to renew your membership. So it's not something you keep. Once you're done with the membership, you return the certificate to CSMLS. If you are not successful in your last exams attempt, you're eligible to write the exams again, and you could register directly online. Also note that if you do not apply by the deadline of the date provided to you, you'll not be able to write the next exams and you will lose that attempt. So please, if you happen to fail, there's a deadline which you have to sit for the exams. And if you don't sit for the exams within that deadline, you've missed another chance and it will be recorded to you as a fail. Then after you get your certificate, others after being successful, you can apply for a job via the CSMLS link. And this is the link. You can also get your visa. After that, when you've gotten your job, you get your visa and you could use your employer as a sponsor and move into the country. That's if you've not been in the country. And then also try to get a social insurance number when you move into the country as soon as possible. I drop the link, and also try to open a bank account so that you start getting paid. Now that's all for the steps. The materials, the ebooks have more details about this and sites to visit to understand these things properly. And the advice will be start early. Some of these processes take time, especially for the medical lab technology. So I will advise you start as early as possible. Get in touch with people who have gone through these routes before. They will guide you properly. Try to save money and come in with money so that your first few months of stay will not be as difficult as it usually is for people that don't come with much money. And then when you arrive, to try to reach out to people nearby that can help you, because it can be very lonely too. So try to reach out. Community goes a long way to help you settle down quickly. So that's all for today's video. What do you think about the video? What did you think I left out? What did you really appreciate? What do you think I didn't really do justice to? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it with as many people as you think will find this video helpful. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel and you enjoy such videos, please subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss my new videos, which I drop twice weekly. That's on Tuesdays and on Saturdays. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.